Thank you everyone for being here. We will be starting right now. So if you are just coming in, please make sure that you are introducing yourself in the chat. Okay. I'm gonna stop share real quickly so we can all see each other. And then we'll share again in a moment. Okay, so just to do a little bit of house maintenance. My name is Araceli Espinosa Mead. I am with Partnership for Children and Youth as the program manager. And so today we are doing multilingual or support, I'm sorry. Just trying to make sure that all the tech is right. Supporting young multilingual learners and engaging their families today. So if you have any questions, please make sure that you are using the different Zoom features, as in raising your hand or using the chat box, and then also making sure that you're staying muted if you're not speaking. Okay. Just to let you all know, this is a summer game plan series that we've been doing all year. This is our second to last one. Next week will be our last summer game plan session, which will be for program evaluation and continuous improvement. So you can go online at partnerforchildren.org/summer game plan to go ahead and register for that one as well. Okay. And then we would like for you all to answer this with what is your role in supporting young multilingual learners this summer? Elea is going to go ahead and put the link in the chat, and so you can all access it that way. If you are unable to access the poll everywhere, you can also put in your information in the chat as well. So how are you supporting young multi-learners this summer? Are you an LEA? Are you providing summer programs? Are you a community-based organization? We want to make sure we know who is in the room. Are you a teacher? So we're providing program this summer, different specialists, engagement specialists. You're with school districts, maybe someone in the family. You're providing resources for summer. Maybe a multilingual specialist or a director. You can see that the different people in the room is coming up. Awesome. So maybe you're a consultant. You're here to engage families. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if you can also leave it in the chat if you were unable to access the poll. Awesome. Great. Awesome. I'll just leave it for one more. Okay, we'll be, more people are joining the space right now. So if you are just joining the space, we are doing this quick word cloud to see who is in the space. And if Elea, if you can drop that link in the chat one more time, just so we can capture everyone in here. If you're unable to do it in the link, you can add it in the chat. So thank you all for being in this space as you are learning to support your multilingual learners to your best capacity. Okay. So today's presenters, we have Carolyn Crawlett, who's the Director of Dual Language Programs, and Trish Morrison, who's a Project Manager with Early Edge, California. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it to Elea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elea Rosario with the Partnership for Children and Youth, and thanks for joining us today. I think I am actually just going to allow Caroline and Trish to introduce themselves and a little bit more about Early Edge California and the resources that they can provide to support multilingual learners this summer.
Thank you so much. Elea and Araceli. We're going to go ahead and share our screen, and we're really excited to be able to share resources and strategies with you all around engaging with diverse families. So again, my name is Carolyn Corlott. I'm the Director of Dual Language Learner Programs for Early Edge California. I'm also joined here by my colleague Trish Morrison, who's our Project Manager at Early Edge. And we wanted to share a little bit more about Early Edge. So supporting multilingual learners is a key priority for our organization. We're a nonprofit organization that advocates for policy changes and investments in high quality early learning programs for children birth to age 8. And our session today will be structured around 3 main areas. The first is around context setting, where we'll be sharing the latest research around the benefits of bilingualism and about the importance of supporting our diverse learners starting as early as possible. And next, we'll provide an overview of our Multilingual Learning Toolkit website, which is the new online resource hub that we developed to support practitioners who work with multilingual children in preschool through 3rd grade. And then we'll be turning it over to our special guests from Oakland Unified, who will share their experiences in using the Toolkit website as a resource in their family engagement efforts. And then we'll have an opportunity for small group discussions and breakout groups. So first, we wanted to start off talking about multilingual learners, and which we call dual language learners birth to age 5, and then English learners in the K through 12 system. And so in our website and in our work, we use the umbrella term multilingual learner to encompass both groups of children. And we wanted first to talk a little bit about dual language learners and just the importance of those first years of life for language and brain development. So first, why should we focus on DLLs? So first, California is home to the largest population of dual language learners. We have actually nearly 60% of our children birth to age 5 are dual language learners. So it's really not a subgroup of children or a small population of the children. It's really the majority of the children in our state. So thinking about what can we do to really help support their needs and make sure that we're setting them on the right track as early as possible. And also, you know, they're a large and growing population of children. They represent a large population of our state preschool programs, and then many come from low-income families, making them at risk, and thinking, how can we really support their needs and really do what we can to help them with their linguistic and overall development. We also know that on average, DLL children enter kindergarten behind their peers in language, literacy, and math, and that other than parents, teachers have the most significant and long-lasting impact on a child's educational trajectory. So thinking about how can we equip our teachers with the resources and strategies to support dual language learners so we can really help address those opportunity gaps. So now we wanted just to share a little bit about the research behind dual language acquisition. So here, this is some research summarized from the latest report on dual language learners and bilingual education. It's from the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, promoting the educational success of children and youth learning English. So really the research consensus shows how critical the first 5 years of life are for both brain and language development, and really the benefits of bilingualism and how learning 2 or more languages is associated with many benefits, including improved cognition, executive function, and social emotional benefits as well. And then another critical takeaway is that when children have a strong foundation in their home language, it actually helps support learning English, and it also helps academic achievement. So which is why we really need to support children's home language and ensure that, you know, and help families really support the home language at home so that the children have a strong foundation in their home language to build English upon. Because oftentimes English comes at the expense of the home language, and children end up losing their home language, and then they don't have a strong foundation to build upon and actually have more difficulty in learning English. So we also know that when DLL children do not receive support in their home language, they have many challenges, including academic challenges, lower high school graduation rates, and as I mentioned, they can lose their home language and have, disconnection with their families. However, when we do support their home language, they're more likely to actually meet or even exceed academic performance as compared to their monolingual peers. And so now we wanted to just share a short video with you where we highlight some programs from LAUSD and Westminster District, and also some parent perspectives around the benefits of bilingualism and dual language programs.
I feel like language is a gift, but as a parent, giving them this opportunity to be in this program is the greatest gift that I could give them.
The more languages that you know, the more equipped you are to deal with what life throws at you.
Becoming bilingual has a lot of different advantages and cognitive advantages, including problem solving and creativity. What we've seen is that the kids are so well prepared for kindergarten, because there's just this sense of confidence.
Our dual language classrooms are outperforming our regular students that are learning only in English.
They will be competitive in the workforce. They will be able to have skills that other students may not have had the opportunity to receive.
The prime time for kids to pick up a second language is under the age of 3, because it's a critical period of language development.
LAUSD finds that it's important that we catch the children early on.
Why are we delaying starting these programs until kindergarten when we have this bigger window in that 0 to 5 space?
Los niños son como esponjitas y hay que darles a muy temprana edad la oportunidad de que ellos aprendan los dos idiomas.
My advice for any parents looking into dual language is just to keep an open mind and an open heart as well, because it can open many doors for them in the future.
It's my language, it's my identity that I want to pass that to my kids. If you ask me, do you want to give this gift to your kids?
Yes, start early. The earlier you start, the better, and you'll be amazed at what they're capable of.
So we now wanted you to reflect on a couple of questions now that we've shared this research and this video with you all. And then please place your responses in the chat about what is something new that you learned from the research that we shared or the video, and then what is something that you will put into practice as a result of the new learning. So please go ahead and share your responses in the chat. And I also shared in the chat a link to the research report that I mentioned, and then also to our DLL video series that has a 3-part series, including this video that I just shared. So please include anything that popped out to you from the research that we shared or the video. Yes, we definitely need to recognize language diversity to help families feel seen and included in our program. Yes, and that having a strong home language equals academic success and supports English learning. The importance of encouraging families and supporting the home language and using the home language. Wonderful. Supporting families to continue to support the importance of speaking in their home language, and then also the importance of those first 5 years of life for language development. And yes, encouraging home language. Yes, home language supports learning English. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing. Please keep those coming. And now we wanted to transition to moving on to sharing a little bit of an introduction with you all about our website. And so now I'll turn it over to my colleague, Trish, who'll share more about the website.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thanks everyone for your responses in the chat. So great to see those coming through. And Carolyn, it was great for you to really highlight for us why this work is so important. This was something that our funders, the Emerging Bilingual Collaborative, recognized, and thanks to their support, we were able to develop the Multilingual Learning Toolkit. So our team at Early Edge worked closely with our many partners to create this amazing resource, and we're proud and excited to share it with you today. This website is an online hub of resources and best practices tailored for our key audiences, and those are educators of multilingual children in pre-K through 3rd grade, administrators, and teacher educators in higher ed settings. We worked with our partners at the American Institutes for Research in developing the foundational content for this website. And as we preview some of the key areas as part of our demonstration for you today, one thing I'd like for you to know is that this is content that's grounded in research. And it's something that our many partners that included national and local experts, along with educators, all agree these are the essential ingredients for quality instruction in supporting young multilingual learners. So now that you've had a little context for the Toolkit website, I'm going to turn it back over to Carolyn to walk us through our website demo.
Thank you, Trish. And before we start with that, I wanted to just address one of the questions we received about if we focus only on the home language, then are we missing the critical window for English? So, you know, the ideal situation is for children to be exposed to both, but we don't want families to stop speaking the home language. You know, many fear that, oh, children need to be successful in this country, they need to have English, so I'm not going to speak my home language. And, you know, sometimes families have limited English, and then it limits their ability to communicate with the child and limits their the language model that the child is receiving. So we really want to encourage families to use their strongest language with children. And then, you know, children will be exposed to English you know, living here and at school. So we don't need to worry about that. So now we'll move into our website demo. So we'll start here with our homepage. And as we go through the page, you can see that we have the sections of the toolkit at the top level navigation. And so the website has two main components, the starter guide and the strategies and resources section. So here we'll go to the starter guide, which we urge all users to visit first, because this section really lays out the research-backed and assets-based foundational principles that are really critical to know when working with multilingual learners and their families. So it's really important that practitioners have this foundational knowledge before they visit the strategies and resources. And all of this content is also available as a downloadable PDF for easy access and reference. And so now we'll go to the main component of the toolkit, which is the strategies and resources section. And this section features 11 instructional topic areas that share evidence-based strategies and resources. So let's take a look at the first one. So first, you'll see all of the different topics that we have, including socio-emotional, family engagement, classroom environment, oral language development. We have a large list of topics, but today we'll be focusing on the family engagement. So we'll go to the family engagement section. And here we have a key question, which is, how can I welcome and engage families of multilingual learners as active partners in their child's learning? And we then provide a response to that question, which is framed in a positive assets-based way and really grounded in the latest research. And then that's followed by these two sections that we have here, which are the strategies and action, and then the evidence-based strategies and resources. So this first section, strategies and action, these are 3 different classroom vignettes written by pre-K through 3rd grade experts with examples and content really specific to each of the grade bands. So we have pre-K, TK, K1, and grades 2, 3. And then included at the end of every vignette is a series of reflection questions to really help users reflect on what they've learned and how they can incorporate it into their practice with multilingual learners. And these vignettes and questions can be incorporated as part of your program coaching or as part of a larger PD series. So we really encourage you to take a look. And now we'll go back to the family engagement page to take a look at the next section, the evidence-based strategies and resources. So the website actually has nearly 400 resources specifically for pre-K through 3rd grade practitioners, including many videos, tip sheets, and other practical and easy to use resources. And they're categorized under each specific evidence-based strategy. And so to access the resources associated with a particular strategy, you can click on Open to view all of the available resources. And so you'll see that each tile includes key details such as the resource type, the source, and which grade band it covers. We have the little color coding to identify the different grade bands. And so we'll look at the first one together. And as you select a resource and click on the link, a new browser tab will display the resource page with additional information, with more information about the resource. And so now that we've reviewed the 2 main portions of the toolkit, let's look at just one more area that will be helpful for you in your role. So we've recently added a new section that was developed by our partners at AIR, American Institutes for Research. And so you can click on the menu icon at the top right-hand corner of the page and then select Standards Alignment. And in this section, you can learn how the toolkit strategies and content align with the state's educator guidance documents, like the California Standards for the Teaching Profession, the English Learner Roadmap, as well as the teacher performance expectations for both early childhood and K-12. And so these alignment documents are important for both teachers and administrators to see how, when they're implementing the strategies in the website, they're also implementing the key California requirements and standards. So we just wanted to share a quick demonstration with you about the website. And so we'll now stop sharing our screen. And so now that we've shared a little bit about the website, we hope that you'll use it. And please also join us for our breakout session where we'll dig a little deeper and go over some more features and resources that we have. But now we'd like to introduce you to our partners at Oakland Unified School District, Bernadette Zermeno and Maria Sujo. And I'll now turn it over to them for their presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Early Edge. And thank you everyone for just being here today present. I see some people who are in the classroom. I see they're like, oh, have to come. My name is Bernadette Pilar Cermeño. It is an honor to be here today and be invited. This is me when I was so cute, right? And I always share this photo. It grounds my everyday and what we do. And there's Maria as well, and she'll share her story. As Carolyn said, I came into TK speaking French and Spanish. So like, wow, that's such a superpower, right? Multilingual, 2 languages, and then I'm going to be learning English. Yet my teachers didn't really see that as a superpower. They saw it more as a deficit. They saw it more as a challenge. So I love the Multilingual Toolkit just because of the way that it really looks at children as assets, not deficits, uplifting their home language, uplifting their culture, and being able to say, this is what we want in our little ones. And I'll pass it over to Maria.
Hi all, it's very exciting to be here with you. It's nice to see some OUSD partners in this work here with us today. My name is Maria Sujo, and I'm the Kindergarten Readiness Director at OUSD in the Office of Early Childhood Ed. Here is one of my baby pictures as well, slightly younger than Bernadette's school age picture. This is me at 4 years old. I did not attend preschool or TK. I went into kindergarten. Only speaking Spanish. I was also a dual language learner. And I'm very grateful that my parents were very diligent in making sure that I learned my home language and preserved it. In fact, when I was growing up, my grandmother, who played an integral role in my upbringing, would not let us speak English at home because she knew that, you know, in her heart, in her wisdom, she knew that if that I would learn English at school, and that it was really important for me to keep my connection to my language, my identity, and very importantly, my family. So I'm very grateful to them that I was able to preserve my home language. And because of this skill, the superpower, as Dr. Bernadette mentioned, I'm able to teach college classes at Merritt College in Spanish and English, and reach my community and be able to connect with people in both English and Spanish.
Thank you, Maria. It's always an honor to work with Maria. And I do want to keep it real. I keep it real as much as possible. So Maria's parents, her grandparents were like, we're going to honor that home language. We want to make sure that we have that home language in school, in our class, at our home. And then in class, they'll learn English. My parents were, for those of you who are Latinos, it's like familia first, like familia primero. And my parents always wanted me to be able to speak to my grandparents, whether in France or in Mexico. So they maintain that home language. Yet sometimes historically, what Maria and I have seen within OUSD is that fear that Carolyn also mentioned, right? Maybe some of you, if you have a reaction to this, you could just put a little reaction bubble. Like, have you maybe heard your parents say like, oh, no, I don't want my kids to have an accent. These are real quotes from our parents. Maria and I have been in education for over 20 years. So my child will not learn English if I speak to them in Spanish. And I want my child to be successful. So those fears, that reality that parents have, thank you for putting those reactions, so real. And we have to honor that. We have to understand that it comes from a place from within and historically, right? This picture I brought from 1883. So historically, people who maybe were in the land that we call the United States had this fear. And it was like, well, we're going to remove your native tongue and we are going to make you speak English. So it's from the past. It's from when our parents migrated over. I think it was Raza. You also said like you were made fun of, right? When you when you had an accent. I know lots of our families that have been made fun of, my own parents as well. And sometimes now it's like when I speak Spanish, they're like, ¿De dónde eres? Where are you from? And when I speak French, your accent's really heavy. So we carry that as people, right? Our families carry this, our caregivers, our aunties, our uncles. This is from like 1950s. Yet still today, this is what our families see. Like we come here, we want the best for our children. And then they see this on the news, they see this in the newspapers. So we have to just really ground in on a place of understanding, and that fear is real for our little ones. What Carolyn and Early Edge says is like United States and California especially, we are super multilingual. We have this superpower, yet how do we shift that? How do we shift maybe that fear that we have deep down in our system, in our genes, right? If you think about that genes that get passed on, those voices that we hear from our ancestors. In OUSD, multilingual, 45% of our little ones pre-K through second grade speak another language. Bravo, right? So superpower. And then we have 55%, they're monolingual, and that is still a superpower, right? We want to support that. And when Maria and I got together, when we started looking at the Multilingual Toolkit, we love the ocean. We're both Pisces, right? So super fish. And we saw that connecting like ecosystem. When you think of a school system and you see that ecosystem of a coral reef, Each piece is different, but yet each piece clearly blends into each other. And you need all of the pieces to create this beautiful ecosystem. So always in OUSD, OUSD is Oakland Unified School District. The child is at the center. We have our child at the center. We know we have research-based. As Carolyn said, everything comes from our research. Everything always is stemmed from there. We have community practice of California districts. These are all our different ecosystems that touch our little ones. We have family partnerships. Wherever they're at, each family partnership is its own tiny little ecosystem, right? We have family childcare providers. And then you see at the bottom, we have pre-K and TK third. So maybe in your districts as well, what we've noticed is that sometimes our pre-K and our TK, although we're in a close ecosystem, we're not as talking as much as we want. We want to be blended a little bit more. So with the help of the Multilingual Toolkit, we have created this ecosystem and creating still. There's lots of work to be done with pre-K third grade. That is our big vision, to really create this ecosystem that is talking. Our pre-K teachers are talking to our TK, kinder, first, second. I think a shout out to Yvonne, who's here, pre-K. We're connecting together. We're trying to really bridge everything, all our resources, all of our ecosystems. And at the base of this, we have our Multilingual Toolkit, which has best strategies, research-based, practical resources to create that alignment, to really think about our focus groups. For those of you who are back in the 90s, FUBU, for you, by you, always. And then leveraging family voices. We want to make sure that we always are leaning onto our families, because we want to shift, right? We want to shift that mentality, like, oh no, maybe not speak their home language, but we want them to speak their home language because, like Carolyn said, English is all around us. It is a societal language. They will pick it up with, of course, best practices, research-based, and practical resources. So thinking about what we've done so far within family engagement practices in OUSD and beyond, using our Multilingual Toolkit as a base, Maria and we have the pleasure of working at so many different schools, going into different sites, that we're uplifting teacher practices. This is one example that we saw was like, this is amazing. The teacher has brought in the family voice. The teacher's language is English, yet they ask all parents, and we're super multilingual, multicultural in Oakland, what is your home language? Can you write numbers 1 through 10 in your home language? So the parents wrote it. And each week, this teacher has the child count and teach to the rest of the class their home language. Okay, pause. And it's for someone like me, if a teacher asked me at the age 4, how would you feel if that teacher had asked you? So put it in the chat. And I'm maybe mispronouncing your name, but the person from Thailand. Raisa, yes.
Taiwan. Yeah, Raisa from Taiwan.
Thank you, Raisa. If their teacher had asked, like, oh, can you count for us? Can you share that? I think that feeling would have been different if I was asked to count in French as well. So kids every week, they get to pick, it's like a rotating job. Okay, today we're counting in Burmese, let's do it. And the child gets to feel honored, feel loved, and also parents as well. So we within OUSD, we are uplifting, leveraging teacher voices always, and parent voices. Another
and
example.
If I can add, Dr.
Oh,
Bernadette,
yes, of course.
Yeah, that part at the center of teaching and learning is for children and families to feel seen and welcome at school, right? So when our children walk in through our doors, if we're not seeing them for all of their identities, then how are we able to step in and teach? So I just wanted to add that piece.
Yes, thank you, Maria. It's a beautiful piece. Another way that teachers, children, families are seen and heard is we started the multilingual writing contest. So this is, you can write in Spanish, you could write in English. This year we started with just Spanish, and then next year we're hoping to increase to all home languages. Thinking about that writing in your home language, like what it means to be bilingual. We don't have the videos yet, but we'll have them soon. The children got to read their writing, and they talked about what it means for them to be bilingual, why it's important. And again, it's just showcasing like, this is our superpower. This is what we do. And now it's a moment to be seen and heard. Within Oakland Unified, we also have Biliteracy Pathway Awards. It all connects back to the Multilingual Toolkit, uplifting like being bilingual and thinking about those different opportunities. So when we show this to parents, it begins to shift those quotes that I had at the beginning, right? I want my children to be successful. Yes, your child will be successful. And this is how we show it. So we really honor the family and family voice. And Maria is going to share a little bit more about connecting with families.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Bernadette. So families are at the center of young children's universe, right? Our kids come connected to a group of caregivers. So for us, it's really important that we remain connected to our families, to uplift community voice, and to also incorporate our families into all of our teaching strategies that happen in the classroom. So we're going to chat with you a little bit more and just share about how we're leveraging our family partnerships in person, but also digitally through our two-way text and literacy tips that our families receive at OUSD. So during the pandemic in early childhood ed, we started using an application called FastTalk. And by the way, if anybody has a comment or a question, please put it into the chat, and Dr. Bernadette and I will be perusing it to make sure that we also answer your questions. So we started incorporating FastTalk, which is a product from the Family Engagement Lab. It's a two-way multilingual communication app. And for us, it was really useful because at the beginning of the pandemic 2 years ago, we didn't have a lot of ways to stay connected to our families. And it was really important for us to make that homeschool connection with family participation in their home language so that they could understand the information and we could communicate with them. And two, to stay integrated with the family as a whole. So a nice thing about this tool was that it also sends out 2 early literacy playlists per week, which are interactive literacy building strategies for home. We were able to work with FastTalk to differentiate for our audience because OUSD serves Oakland families that are very diverse. And we wanted to make sure that it was in line with the abilities of our general ed, special ed, and special day class student population, as well as in 2022, we really started focusing on the content being inclusive also of language diversity and incorporating some of those strategies from the Multilingual Toolkit. So the reason why we used FastTalk was because we were able to really differentiate for the needs of our families, which is really important to us to make sure that it's developmentally, culturally, and linguistically relevant. So Dr. Bernadette and I, along with their developers, worked really closely to make sure that the playlist was in line and honored all of the different languages and language development that's happening within our young children. And so I'm going to just speak specifically to the PK, the preschool playlist, but this is just a couple of sample text messages that families receive. So like, for example, one text message, and this is directly from our playlist, said, play a feeling guessing game, act out a feeling and have your child guess what it is, then ask, how do you know? So we wanted to give families an opportunity to just have to add to their toolkit on ways to develop language by extending language, opportunities for turning and talking, and also asking those open-ended questions that will help our young learners really start to develop language skills. Another text message that we sent was songs are a great way to practice literacy skills like rhyming and storytelling. In your home language, sing a song that you love. As Dr. Bernadette mentioned earlier, many of our families, because they have their child's best interest in heart, will say things like, you know, we just want them to learn English. We want to make sure that they're successful. English is often equated with the language of success, but we know that for language and literacy development, children need to have a strong foundation in their home language. So a lot of our messaging has to do with honoring their home language, and encouraging families to continue to use it and that it's an asset. So we always encourage families to tap into their home language. And a big focus of the playlists that families have received that we've heard back from them that they really enjoy are around oral language development, and then mixed strategies for encouraging open-ended questions, like using songs and rhymes in children's home languages. And just from my own personal experience, I remember when I was a child, my mom would recite poetry to me in Spanish, like little short poems. And then she would encourage me to memorize them. This is as a 5-year-old, and it was something that I really loved doing with my mom. And it was a way in which I, was able to retain my bilingual skills, remain connected to my language, and also develop language in a fun, culturally responsive way. So part of the reason why we use Fast Talk is because it honors family languages. And so these are some of the languages that are supported by Fast Talk in our ECE programs. As you can see, there's a variety of languages here, but some of the families in some of the schools in Oakland, like in the Fruitvale, could speak it upward of 100 different languages and dialects. So for us, it's really important and low-hanging fruit, right? That when our communications go out, that it at least be translated in the languages of our community. All right, so that's a little bit about how we've been connecting with our families digitally using the Fast Talk app, but also we are leveraging our family partnerships through meaningful connections and community building in person and in Zoom. We're actually getting to the in-person part. Right now it's been mostly Zoom, but we're really excited to be able to come back eventually in person as our community heals from this pandemic. And so very exciting to share with you all that Dr. Bernadette and I have been able to launch our Oakland Families United Family Nights. And this is for families of pre-K through kindergarten students. It's open to anybody in Oakland. So if anyone is here that would like to join or invite their families, we welcome you. Maybe Dr. Bernadette, you could put the flyer into the chat. And so we've collaborated with Oakland Starting Strong and Smart, which is a collective impact table in Oakland that addresses the needs of early childhood families and community. So we've been working with them to make sure that as a district, we're opening it up to the community to come to these meetings and just uplift family voice to learn more from each other and about what the district is doing around multilingual teaching and learning. As a district, we recognize that most students will be entering our schools for TK and K. So we want to make sure that this is like a community-driven effort. So we build communities with families, just strengthening assets of multilingual families, trying to myth bust the idea that, learning English is the most important thing, but really honoring language and seeing it as a building block for literacy development, home language. And supporting language and literacy learning for all of our students. But most importantly, and at the center of this work, and I think this is something that Dr. Bernadette really brings her magic to, is creating relationships with families as they enter the OUSD system. So if you ever join any of our Oakland Families United meetings, it is not led by Dr. Bernadette and I, it is really family-led, family voice. And sometimes our little ones even join. And tonight we're going to be having one, and it'll be led by a mama and her little one who will be leading us in a sing-along, a multicultural sing-along.
Yes, and if you know, Multilingual Toolkit, section 4 says oral language development, songs and chants are the best. So we really want to tell parents, like, we have them sing, and we're like, remember, the songs and chants are going to help your children in no matter what language you sing. So always tying it back to the toolkit.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so, we received a grant in order to be able to do this work. And so through the implementation, we started the implementation process like 5 minutes ago at the beginning of early 2022. And so thus far, we've been able to coordinate our 4 Oakland-wide family meetings, and invite our Oakland community to support our early learners. And Suad Mohammed is one of our fantastic OUSD moms She's a mom of 3 beautiful children, some in preschool and elementary school, who really helps us lead this work. And we, when we created these family nights, again, we wanted it to really be for us, by us, in community with families, and really building upon the wisdom that they hold and starting from that vantage point. So, you know, our first one was a welcome, where we just focused on relationship building and asking families, what are their wishes for their children? What are their wishes for language development? How do they have fun with language at home, language and literacy? It's also given us an opportunity to introduce our pre-K, TK curriculum and get feedback from families through a language equity lens. And also having fun and celebrating languages, right? Having fun with language. We know that young children learn when they are engaged and education is meaningful and connected to their lives. So this is really how we're trying to lead our work with families. And also just offering as many homeschool connections and multilingual read alouds. Right now, this is happening through Zoom, but that's not to say that next school year, given what the pandemic might have in store for us, we're able to connect in person or at least outdoors, because connections are everything. Okay, and then I wanted to share a little bit else of how we connect with our families. So in preschool land, in our ECE department, we have our kindergarten readiness home visits, which has been a project between us and the Office of Equity, which I see that my dear partner Elea is here with us, a co-conspirator of this work. And so our kindergarten readiness home visits have a focus on relationship building, but also having data-informed conversations with families about their children's development. And the tools that we use in early childhood education are the Ages and Stages questionnaire and also the DRDP, the Desired Results and Developmental Profile. And we also are focused on those 2 items, but also connecting with families around making kindergarten readiness connections, the home to school connection. So relationships at the center of our work, and then using children's individual data to have informed conversations with families about their development. And a lot of the work that we've seen, a lot of the data that we've seen in the previous year that teachers have reported from their home visits is that there is a lot of reinforcing and supporting cultural and language assets of their children. So as we all know, Oakland is a very diverse city. And so this comes up a lot in conversations in the home visits between preschool teachers and families, and helping ease their concerns around the myth that exists about English being the language of success, right? So I think that this has given us a lot of information for our kindergarten readiness home visits next school year to have a deeper emphasis in going into multilingual strategies for the home to school connection. And so, yeah, that was a bit of a snapshot on how we are leveraging our family connections in person and digitally, but also we're working really hard internally on creating professional development systems that align with early childhood systems as well. As Dr. Bernadette mentioned earlier, a lot of times something that comes up in our work a lot as early childhood folk is that ECE, and give me a little emoticon if you're an ECE person and you feel this way, could be siloed, especially in large systems. So right now we're at this place where we're really thinking about alignment in our professional development systems, in our curriculum. We just had a huge win in connecting our preschool and TK curriculum to be the same thing. Yay, we're very excited about that. Having joint professional development opportunities for pre-K and TK teachers, and beyond is our wish. And also having super coaches in preschool, kinder and TK that are really taking on a whole child approach, where they're not just focusing on, instruction, but instruction and relationship-based work, and using trauma-informed practices and bringing in the multilingual lens as well, but just making it this very interdisciplinary aligned approach to coaching, which we know is really integral for making instructional gains. And also having, yes, and play is very important. And also providing some leadership trainings for elementary school principals to help make the alignment, the connection, and the understanding of the importance of early childhood within these larger systems. Gosh, I feel like I talk a lot, so please feel free to interrupt us in the chat with any questions or comments that come up. We will take a look at them and make sure to answer your questions. But I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Bernadette at this point.
Thank you, Maria. And yes, overall, we're going to go into small groups and have breakout rooms, questions, comments. And here's just some more information about OUSD, our partnership with Oakland Starting Smart and Strong, our vision, and we'll drop our emails in the chat. Also, we'll put in the flyers as well. Just thank you again. It's an honor and privilege to be here with all of you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming back and joining us and going through the learning process together. So I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you, Arcelia, for sharing your information in the chat. So anyone that was presenting and you said that you're going to share your information, now is a great time to share that in the chat. Of course, we'll be sharing that at the end as well. So wanted to just quickly say thank you to Early Edge for sharing all of the wonderful information that you shared with us earlier, as well with raising a reader and hosting a room, to Heising Simons Foundation and CCEE for allowing us to do the summer game plans. Also want to thank Dr. Bernadette and Maria for also joining us and hosting a space as well. I hope that was all fruitful for you and had nice intimate conversations. So just to remind you all, we do have summer learning resources. So if you go to partnerforchildren.org/summer, you can find any of our past workshops and recordings on the website. So anything from innovative staff recruitment strategies, program planning and partnerships, foundations for summer planning, and so much more. On that site, you can also find our new Summer TA Hub. It's a free 15-minute coaching session with myself, Elea, or one of our other experts from PCY. So that's a really great new resource that you can go ahead and schedule with one of us. And it's free, it's 15 minutes, just a great way to brainstorm together as well. And of course, we have research and case studies on the website. So before we finish, we have some, you can also think about our new summer game plan, our next workshop, which is next week, May 26th. It's about program evaluation and continuous improvement. So if that's another summer game plan session you would like to join, please again, go to partnerforchildren.org/summer game plan. So that would be a great opportunity for you to thinking about your quality and continuous improvement as you're thinking about your summer sessions. We're all about to start summer. And then we'll provide more resources as well. Before we go, I would like for us to share in the chat what is something that you are walking away with today. What is an aha moment you had, whether it was during one of the presentations or in the breakout rooms that you had? So what was an aha moment you had today? Or I encourage you to go off of mute and share with your out loud voice as well.
I can share. When I was in my breakout room, I had the pleasure of having Raisa join me, and she is a family child care provider. And she shared about how switching back between languages, the majority of her community is Chinese speaking, and how talking to children in multiple languages helps them feel emotional safety. And just hearing that connection of like bringing multilingualism into the classroom provides safety for children. That really stuck with me today. Thank you, Raisa.
You're welcome. And actually, I was saying how I really want to go to my school district and talk about creating biliteracy pathways for our children and families, because we are such a diverse community, but we don't really talk about that a lot in our school district. I have children in elementary school and junior high and in high school, my own children, and I've never heard that phrase before. And I think that we should look to that. And I have some ties to Irvine Unified. We have a meeting tonight, so I'm going to bring that up. So I'm excited about that. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Raisa. So, go ahead, Dr. Bernadette.
I was going to say, show them the toolkit. It's all there.
That's what I said. That was my suggestion as well.
Great, Rosario. Great professional conversation with Bernadette. She provided insight on setting one goal for the P3 alignment and going from there. So thank you, Dr. Bernadette. And then we also have, I will bring back to my work the discussion about supporting bilingual families, and you're going to share the information. Awesome, really great. I'm so glad that you're all going to put this into practice and start moving it forward. Do any of our presenters have any last thoughts that you would like to share before we go? We have some extra time. I know that's something that we were thinking about earlier. So we do have extra time. So if you have any last comments or last things that you want to share with the group, now would be a good time to do so as well.
I think there were some questions in the other chat. I don't know if we lost that other chat.
I did save the chat, but I don't know if I'll have access to it until after the recording. Yeah.
Got it. Well, thank you all. It's been an honor and a privilege. We look forward to partnering with each of you moving forward. And please look over the Multilingual Toolkit. It's so beautiful. So many resources, just all of it's there.
Awesome. Can we put that the toolkit back in the chat? So just in case we weren't able to grab it in the last Zoom room.
Yes, I also wanted to just thank everyone and thank you for the opportunity, for coming to share with you all. And then we also wanted to encourage everyone to sign up for our updates to the toolkit, because we're in the process of, adding more resources and website features throughout the rest of the year. So if you sign up to receive updates, then you'll be the first to know about those new features and resources when they're available. And so Trish just put in the chat here, how you can sign up. So you just need to fill out the short form, and then you'll start getting the email updates.
Awesome, thank you. Go ahead, Maria.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing in relationship to summer learning opportunities that OUSD is doing that maybe might spark some interest for folks from other districts, which is using ELO funds to support kindergarten readiness summer programming. In our school district, that was only supported through grant funds from First 5 Alameda County. But this year, with the expansion of ELO funds, we've been able to have kinder readiness programming for rising kinders and TKs, which we know is dire during a pandemic, namely for children furthest from opportunity, like children who have not attended preschool before and have been isolated by the pandemic. So that is one way in which we're supporting our young diverse learners this summer that I just wanted to share out with folks.
Awesome, thank you so much. Is there a way that we can access that resource in the chat?
ELO.
The ELO PFN.
Yeah.
Okay, we can also share that in the resources.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you. All right, Trish, do you have any closing words?
No, again, just a great opportunity to connect with the group. And, Bernadette and Maria, every time we hear from you both, we're just amazed at the incredible work that you both are doing. And it's awesome that it just started earlier this year. So we can only imagine, what you can do for the rest of the year and moving forward. So fantastic work. And thank you again for this opportunity to share about the Multilingual Learning Toolkit and how it can support your family engagement strategies. Everyone.
Great, thank you everyone. And we will go ahead and give you guys 5 minutes back of your day. So thank you so much. Make sure that we will send out the resources, the recordings to today, and the slide decks as well. So have a great afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today.
Bye, thank you.